Elevate your soul, elevate your mind, elevate your life. Welcome back to the Elevated Book Club, beautiful people. I'm your guide on the side, Dr. Jaye Johnson, and today we're exploring one of the most fascinating and often misunderstood principles in Napoleon Hill's Think and Grow Rich. Now, I know what some of you might be thinking based on the title of today's episode, Sex Transmutation. What does that have to do with success? When I first encountered this chapter years ago, I had the same question, but what I discovered was a profound insight into human psychology and achievement that completely changed how I understood motivation, creativity, and drive. So before we dive in, let me clarify something important. This isn't about sex in the way most people think. It's about understanding and redirecting the most powerful energy we possess as human beings. Think about it for a moment. What drives human behavior more intensely than anything else? What creates the strongest emotions, the deepest passions, the most powerful motivations? Napoleon Hill recognized that sexual energy represents our most potent life force, and that learning to channel this energy toward creative and productive ends is a secret that many of history's great achievers have understood. I remember when I first grasped the concept, I was struggling with scattered focus in my own career. I had lots of energy and passion, but it wasn't directed properly. Learning to harness and redirect that energy toward meaningful goals completely transformed my results. In our time together today, we'll explore what sex transmutation really means beyond the potentially misleading name. We'll look at how some of the world's most innovative and successful people have used this principle. We'll examine the fascinating science behind how our drive and creativity connect. And most importantly, like always, I'll share practical ways you can redirect your own natural passion and energy toward achieving your biggest goals and desires. So open your mind, put aside any preconceptions, and let's discover how to harness the most powerful driving force in human psychology for extraordinary achievement. Okay, let's start by understanding exactly what Napoleon Hill means by sex transmutation. He defines it as the switching of the mind from thoughts of physical expression to thoughts of some other nature of high achievement. Now, let me translate that into everyday language. Hill is talking about the process of redirecting your natural drive and creative energy from purely physical expression into productive, creative, and meaningful pursuits. It's about channeling that intense life force that we all possess toward your highest goals and ambitions. You've likely experienced this energy in your own life. It's that feeling of being absolutely captivated by something, where hours pass like minutes, where your focus is laser sharp, where you feel a surge of creativity and possibility. Athletes call it being in the zone. Artists call it the flow state. Entrepreneurs might call it hustle mode. Whatever the name, it's a heightened state of energy and focus. Hill observed that throughout history, the most accomplished individuals seemed to have an abundance of this energy. They were passionate, driven, focused, and often charismatic. Think about figures like Leonardo da Vinci, whose intense curiosity and creative drive produced some of the most extraordinary art and inventions in human history. Historians have noted that da Vinci channeled immense emotional and creative energy into his work. The same passion, focus, and desire for perfection that drives romantic love was, in his case, directed towards artistic and scientific pursuits. I believe that's what Hill is really getting at. Sexual energy isn't just physical, It's a life force that manifests as creativity, passion, charisma, and drive. When properly directed, it becomes the fuel for extraordinary achievement in any field. So let me ask you, where do you feel the most passion in your life? When do you experience that state of total absorption and focus? And this is the question. Are you controlling and directing that energy toward your most meaningful goals? Or is it being scattered and wasted on things that don't truly matter to you? Understanding this concept is just the beginning. Now let's explore why Hill considers sex transmutation to be such a critical factor in extraordinary achievement. Napoleon Hill made a fascinating observation in his research of the world's most successful people. He found that virtually every highly successful individual had learned either consciously or unconsciously how to direct and channel their natural energies and passions toward their goals. Think about what happens when you're deeply attracted to someone. There's an intensity of focus, right? Your thoughts naturally gravitate toward that person. You feel motivated, energized, perhaps a bit obsessed. I'm not raising my hand here. Now imagine taking that same intensity and focus and emotion and directing it toward a business goal, a creative project, or a mission that matters to you deeply. This transmutation process creates several powerful advantages. First, it generates extraordinary motivation. When you're passionate about something, you don't need external pressure to work on it. You're naturally drawn to it. Second, it fuels creativity and innovation. The brain, in a state of passion, makes connections that sees possibilities that the logical mind might miss. Third, it provides stamina and persistence. When you're truly passionate about a goal, you'll push through obstacles that would stop someone with mere intellectual interest. And fourth, it creates magnetic charisma. People who have successfully channeled their passion into purposeful work often have a presence that draws others to them and their vision. Look at someone that I happen to admire, Steve Jobs, who transformed multiple industries through Apple. Those who worked closely with Jobs consistently described his reality distortion field, his ability to envision possibilities others couldn't see, and to inspire people to achieve what seemed impossible. Jobs had an almost religious devotion to perfection in design, user experience, and innovation. He wasn't just intellectually interested in technology, he was passionate about it. That passion sometimes manifested as intensity, even obsessiveness. But it was precisely this emotional energy, properly directed, that enabled him to see possibilities others missed and to drive teams to create revolutionary products. Have you ever noticed how differently you approach tasks you're passionate about versus those you merely feel obligated to complete? When you're passionate, time disappears. Your energy seems limitless. Your creativity flows naturally. That's the power of properly directed emotional energy. Here's an important insight. This energy exists within all of us. The difference between extraordinary achievers and everyone else isn't necessarily the amount of energy they possess, it's how effectively they direct and channel that energy toward productive ends rather than letting it dissipate on distractions or purely physical expression. I invite you to reflect. Where in your life are you allowing powerful energy to be wasted on distractions, overthinking, or pursuits that don't align with your highest goals? What might be possible if you redirected that energy towards something truly meaningful? Now, you might be wondering if there's any scientific basis for Hill's observations about this energy and its connection to achievement. Let's explore what modern science tells us about this fascinating connection. What's interesting is how modern neuroscience, which is definitely a topic that I geek out on, and psychology, yet another topic that I geek out on, has validated many of Hill's observations, though using different terminology. Let's look at what science tells us about the biology and psychology connections between our drive, creativity, and achievement. At a biological level, sexual energy is linked to hormones like testosterone and neurotransmitters like dopamine. Testosterone isn't just a male hormone, by the way. Everyone has it in different amounts, and it's strongly associated with traits like confidence, assertiveness, or risk-taking, qualities that are essential for leadership and achievement. Dopamine, meanwhile, is often called the motivation molecule. It's the neurotransmitter that creates feelings of pleasure and reward, driving us towards certain behaviors and experiences. When properly directed, this same reward system can fuel productive work rather than just immediate gratification. Research has shown interesting connections between creative output and this energy. Studies of highly creative individuals across fields show they often experience their creative process with an intensity similar to romantic passion. The same neurological systems are activated when we're deeply engaged in creative work as when we're experiencing attraction. Consider Nikola Tesla, one of history's greatest inventors. Tesla deliberately chose to remain unmarried, believing that his creative and scientific work required his complete devotion. He once stated, "I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men." Now, I'm not suggesting Tesla's specific life choices are necessary for achievement. Plenty of highly successful people throughout history have balanced life with extraordinary achievement. What's notable is Tesla's understanding of energy and focus. He recognized that his creative power required disciplined channeling of his natural drives and passions. The key scientific insight is this: the energy that drives physical passion is fundamentally the same energy that, when redirected, can fuel creative passion. It's about understanding that we have a finite amount of mental and emotional energy and being intentional about where we direct it. I've noticed this in my own life and in working with clients. When someone is struggling with motivation or creative blocks, it's often not that they lack energy, it's that their energy is scattered across too many focuses or being drained by distractions, worries, or unfulfilling pursuits. Where do you feel the most natural motivation and drive in your life right now? And more importantly, are you directing that drive towards short-term gratification or long-term achievement and contribution? Understanding this connection between our natural drive and creative achievement is powerful. But the real question is, how do we practically apply this principle in our daily lives? Let's explore Hill's approach to transmuting this energy into productivity and success. Hill doesn't just explain the concept of transmutation, he provides practical guidance on how to redirect this powerful energy toward creative and productive ends. Let me share a 3-step approach based on his work that you can begin applying immediately. The first step is to increase your awareness of your energy states. Start paying attention to when you feel most energized, focused, or passionate. These are moments when we have access to your most powerful creative energy. Instead of allowing this energy to dissipate on distractions or temporary pleasures, consciously redirect it toward your most important creative or productive work. Keep a journal for a week and note when your energy and focus are highest. Schedule your most important creative work during these peak energy periods, when you feel that surge of drive or passion, rather than letting it pull you toward distractions, channel it into writing, strategic thinking, creative problem solving, or whatever moves your most important goals forward. Michael Jordan, widely considered the greatest basketball player of all time, demonstrated this principle perfectly. His legendary competitiveness and drive weren't just applied during games, he redirected that same intensity into grueling practice sessions, developing his skills to levels that seem superhuman. Jordan once said, "Some people want it to happen, some wish it would happen, others make it happen." That making it happen, that's transmutation. It's taking raw drive and focusing it with discipline toward a specific goal. The second step in Hill's approach is to engage in purposeful work that naturally excites your passion. When you're working on something that genuinely matters to you, something aligned with your values, your interests, and natural talents, transmutation happens more naturally. You're not fighting against your nature, but working with it. Identify the intersection of what you love, what you're looking at, and what creates value for others. When you find work in this sweet spot, you'll naturally channel more of your energy toward it because it feels fulfilling rather than draining. Ludwig von Beethoven exemplifies this principle. Despite facing the devastating challenge of hearing loss, perhaps the worst affliction imaginable for a composer, Beethoven channeled his emotional intensity into his music with even greater focus as his hearing deteriorated. His passion wasn't diminished by his challenges, it was intensified and redirected. Some music historians believe his most profound compositions came after he had lost most of his hearing, when his internal creative energy was completely focused without external distractions. What work makes you lose track of time? What activities engage you so completely that other concerns fade away? That's where you should be directing most of your powerful energy. The third and perhaps most critical step is to develop the self-discipline to maintain this focused direction of energy. Let's be honest, this isn't always easy. We live in a world designed to fragment our attention, to dissipate our energy. Notifications, social media, entertainment options, and countless other distractions constantly compete for our focus. Cultivating self-discipline means creating boundaries that protect your energy and focus. It means sometimes saying no to immediate pleasures for the sake of long-term fulfillment. It means designing your environment to support your highest intentions rather than undermine them. Muhammad Ali embodied this discipline throughout his legendary career. Beyond his natural talents, what set Ali apart was his willingness to do the work others wouldn't do. He famously said, "I hated every minute of training, but I said, don't quit. Suffer now and live the rest of your life as a champion." That's transmutation in action, redirecting the natural desire for comfort and pleasure toward the discipline required for extraordinary achievement. Ali understood that momentary discomfort was a small price to pay for lasting greatness. I want to challenge you right now. What's one significant distraction that's currently draining your creative energy? Is it social media, excessive news consumption, unproductive relationships? Identify it and commit to removing or significantly reducing it for the next 7 days. Notice the energy that becomes available when you stop allowing it to leak away on distractions. Then consciously redirect that reclaimed energy towards your most meaningful, creative, or productive work. Now, let's begin these principles together with some reflection questions and specific action steps to help you harness this powerful energy in your own life. This is where we move from understanding to implementation, where these powerful ideas about transformative practices get put into our daily life. Grab your journal if you haven't already, and let's work through some questions together that reveal opportunities to better direct your energy. First, conduct an energy audit. Where is your most valuable mental and emotional energy currently going? Make a list of the activities, relationships, and thoughts that consume most of your focus and passion. Be brutally honest. This isn't about what should engage you, but actually what does. Second, identify energy leaks. Which items on your list move you toward your most important goals, and which are simply dissipating your creative power? Which activities leave you energized and which leave you drained? Third, connect with your passion. What work or creative pursuit makes you feel most alive? When do you experience that state of flow where time seems to disappear? That's often where your greatest potential for achievement lies. Take a moment to really sit with these questions. Your honest answers will give you your path forward. Now, let's turn these insights into concrete actions. First, I challenge you to identify one passion-driven project that deserves your full creative energy. This should be something meaningful that excites you, something worth directing your most powerful drive toward. Write it down and commit to making it a priority. Second, establish a daily discipline routine specifically designed to eliminate distractions. This might include turning off notifications, scheduling specific time for email and social media, or creating a morning ritual that centers and focuses your energy before the day's demands fragment it. And third, consciously surround yourself with high-energy, ambitious people who are directing their own passion toward meaningful achievement. Energy is contagious, both positive and negative. Be intentional about whose influence you allow into your life. Fourth, commit to a fundamental shift from consumption to creation. Make a list of ways you currently spend time consuming, like social media, television, news, etc., and identify specific times when you'll redirect that energy toward creating something meaningful instead. I know the quality of your life is directly proportional to how effective you direct your energy. When you consciously channel your most powerful drives towards meaningful creation rather than passive consumption or scattered focus, extraordinary things become possible. As Napoleon Hill discovered through his extensive research, this principle of transmutation isn't esoteric or mysterious. It's a practical psychological truth that's available to anyone willing to master it. The most successful people throughout history have understood that our most powerful energy, properly directed, becomes the driving force behind our greatest achievements. This brings us to the end of today's episode of the Elevated Book Club. It is my desire our exploration of this fascinating principle has given you a new perspective on how to harness your natural energy and passion for extraordinary achievement. If you have found value in today's discussion, please share it with someone else who might benefit. And of course, subscribe to the podcast so you never miss an episode. Next week, we'll dive into another powerful chapter from Think and Grow Rich, the subconscious mind, connecting thought with infinite intelligence. We'll explore how to program your subconscious mind to work for you rather than against you on your journey to success. Until then, elevate your soul, elevate your mind, elevate your life. This is Dr. Jaye Johnson reminding you that your most powerful creative energy is already within you. It's simply waiting to be properly directed. Stay elevated.